Hi, I'm Mark, and welcome to this video on how to create a great animal barn. Now, not only will these tips help you make one that looks great, but you're also going to learn how to make one that's functional as well. So let's get started. Now, the first tip is to make it realistic. Now, I'm a Midwestern boy born and bred, so I know a little bit about barns. And you're probably saying, Mark, that doesn't look like a barn. Well, what you're thinking of is a family farm. Now, a family farm has the strange pitched roofs on their barn, and they've got the big doors, and then they've got their house right next door. Well, in this case, this is a corporate barn. And a corporate farm is basically what it sounds like. It's a farm owned by a large corporation. Now, the whole idea with those farms is to make the barns efficient. And this barn kind of shows that by being very long and narrow. And then it's got two barns stacked side by side. Now, many times these barns will be stacked 3, 4, 5, 6 side by side. It just really depends on what that corporate farm is looking for. So that's tip number 1, make it realistic. Search out pictures on the internet and build one that suits you. Maybe you want to build one that's more like a family farm. That's great, make it your own. Now, tip number 2 is to include all the domesticated animals. The reason being is you want to consolidate all those animals together. Now, in this case, I put all the different colored sheep, which is considerably different than a real farm, because they don't have different colored sheep. I doubt you're going to see a purple sheep. But then I also put the chickens and the cows, and I put the pigs in here. And then I also put horses out in the corral. So I've got everything I want here with the exception of a cat. I really wish I had a cat or two because any farm I've ever been to, corporate or family, has cats. So unfortunately, I don't have cats. Now, tip number 3 is to add outbuildings. Now, you may have seen it when I started out this video, but let's walk down here and take a look. Right next to the barn, I've got this outbuilding. Now, it looks just like a little garage, but it does add a little something to the barn in general. If you take a look, it kind of adds a little personality. And it also was useful for hiding. We've got some company. The, get out of the way. The nether portal. Come here. You're going to have to die. Come here. Die. There you go. So that was the whole point of adding this outbuilding, was so that I could hide that nether portal, but also add a little personality to this barn. Now, tip number 4 is to light it realistically. Now, it's a little tough to see during the daytime, but what I did is tried to really hide torches all over the place. The torches I did put on the side, I put with item frames and a little bit of wool to give them a little more personality as well. I also hid a lot of my lighting in the ground like this. There's a torch underneath those leaves. In addition to that, there's inside some ocean monument, what do they call them? Sea lanterns, ocean lanterns, those things, you know, that you get from an ocean monument. Those make great lighting, and I like those a lot better than glowstone. And as you can see, they're lined up right down the center. This is very similar to what you're going to see in a corporate farm. You're going to see fluorescent lights lined up down the center, but we don't have fluorescents. And I also put some along the sides here just to make sure they're adequately lit. Now, tip number 5 is to include outside corrals. Now, you already saw my horsies, and they're outside in this corral. My favorite horsey is Starter. His dad is called Ender. So the corral adds a little more pizzazz and something to look at on the outside. Now, corporate farms don't necessarily have these, but I took a little creative liberty and added this in the back just to make it look a little bit more like a barn. Now, tip number 6 is to use this carpet trick. Now, the carpet trick I'm talking about is this. Look at how I can go off of here, and yet I can also come back up. Now, the way this is set up is to put carpet on top of fence posts. And the way it works is the animals can't jump, but I can. And it works really well. It looks a lot nicer than fencing, and you don't have to open and close gates all the time, and you don't get escapee animals. Pretty cool, huh? Now, tip number 7 is use chests for stuff. When you get into a barn like this, you're going to need things like shears, and you're going to have extra wool, and you're going to need to feed your animals. So I have these chests along the way so that all of this stuff is readily available to me. Now, tip number 8 is don't overstock. Especially with chickens, one of the biggest problems is that if you overstock, you're going to get lag. Chickens seem to have this thing with creating lag. The other animals will as well, but not as bad, at least that I've found, as chickens. So don't overstock your barn or you're probably going to suffer some lag. Now, you don't want to overstock sheep because if you look, when the sheep eat, they leave behind dirt. If you overstock them, it is possible for them to eat all the grass. So you want to make sure that you don't overstock everything. Tip number 10 is to make it your own. When you build something like this, you don't want to build it exactly like mine. I actually get requests for schematics or a step-by-step on how I build something. Now, that's not the point of Minecraft. You want to build something that is uniquely your own. And that's what I did here. So that's it. If you like this video, please leave a like or share it or subscribe. If you didn't like this video, keep it to yourself. Thanks for watching.